What's up, guys? This is Psychic Greg. I'm here in Flagstaff, Arizona, getting ready to go to the Grand Canyon. I've never been there. I've seen it flying over it before several times, but never actually been to it. So I'm excited to experience the energy of the rocks there. And tomorrow morning I'll be in Sedona, Arizona. That's going to be awesome as well. I'm having a really good time. But yeah, I just thought I'd share a quick story with you guys. Had a quite challenging reading not too long ago. It was a Skype reading. A woman wanted to speak with me. She had been referred to me from another Facebook friend, and because of confidentiality reasons, I can't use real names unless these people choose to come forward and talk about it themselves. But I will change their names and a little bit of the locations. But because again, I do respect everyone's confidentiality when they come to me for a psychic reading. But I do share stories. So this one particular woman called me on Skype and thought it was just going to be a regular reading like everybody else. What's going on with my husband? What's going on with my wife? What's going on with my kids? Did my mom make it over to the other side? She passed last Friday. All kinds of questions. I've heard it all. But yeah, this lady called me and she wanted to know what I saw about her son, Michael. And I kept seeing this 6-year-old boy, and she said, no, he's not 6. And I kept describing the boy I was seeing, and she was saying, no, that's not him. He actually just passed away, and he was 2 years old. Well, when I looked further, I kept seeing him as a 6-year-old, and I said, well, maybe he's presenting himself as older to me, but I will look and see what he has to say. And I was able to see that he had passed fairly recently, and the woman, I'm going to call her Michelle had asked me, they said he died from an asthma attack. Is that true? Well, when I asked her son told me, no, he did not die from an asthma attack. And she started kind of freaking out a little bit. She goes, well, can you please ask him how he passed? And when I asked her son, I said, I came back and said he was suffocated by a white pillow about 10:30 at night. And she started screaming. I mean, this girl was sitting on the other side of that camera, just screaming, freaking out, bawling hysterically. I mean, my heart just dropped down to my knees. And in that moment, I just wanted to run out of the room and just go hide in a hole for a couple of days. I mean, it was really hard seeing this, but she goes, please tell me what you're seeing. And I said, I saw a man standing over your son for about 30 seconds holding a white pillow over your son's face in the middle of the night. And I mean, she's just freaking out. And I said, he's telling me it was your mean boyfriend. And she just, like I said, kept freaking out. And she's like, are you sure it wasn't his brother who might have been playing around? And I looked, and her son told me no, that it wasn't his brother. And I saw that he had crossed over. He had only been alive for probably about 30 seconds to a minute. And so I didn't see him suffering. He just told me he couldn't breathe. And he said it was mommy's mean boyfriend put a pillow over my face when I was sleeping. And this is kind of hard to talk about, but I wanted to share it with you guys. I thought it was important. When they rushed the child to the emergency room, they called the ambulance, took him to nearby children's hospital, and he had been pronounced dead. And they said that at first they thought it was an asthma attack. It turns out that what really happened was her boyfriend had woke up around 10:30 at night, around the time that I had predicted, and he was out of the room for about a half an hour, and then came running in with her son Michael in his arms saying, "Oh my God, he's not breathing. I went in to check on him and he's not breathing. He's not breathing." And they took him to the emergency room, and 45 minutes later, her boyfriend came to the hospital with that white pillow that I had described and was telling the doctors, "I don't know, I just thought I'd bring the pillow." That's no different than the serial killer bringing the knife to the emergency room after somebody had been stabbed. And it was ridiculous, and they all started scratching their heads, and they're like, something isn't right. Well, all of her kids were taken away, and apparently the boyfriend was kind of psychotic. He was into things he shouldn't have been in, all kinds of stuff, and they all suspected that he had done exactly what I had described. And I knew nothing about the situation at all. That's why they wanted to call a psychic to see, what really happened. And apparently the boyfriend had been rearranging the room and was cleaning the whole room, rearranging the house, throwing stuff in the trash, and the cops all know about this. They know that he's been trying to cover everything up. Unfortunately, she still has not gotten her kids back as they're still investigating the situation. But this was my second criminal reading that I've done, and to be honest with you, I don't like doing them because they are very emotional, and I would never in a million years want to wrongfully accuse somebody of murder. That would be horrible. That's just not something I want to do, but I've got to go by what I am honestly being shown. And my ego, my human ego, I want to say, "Oh no, nothing happened. It was a big misunderstanding," but that is not what I'm seeing. Every time I looked, I kept seeing the same exact thing. And during a reading, I usually use my tarot cards, and so I consulted with my tarot, and the tarot was revealing the same information that I was seeing from the spirit of her son. And what's crazy was she turned the camera at the end of the reading. She turned the camera over, and I did not know this, but there had been an entire group of people in the room the entire time we were doing the reading, and they all looked at her and they said, "We freaking told you, we told you." And so everybody in the room was on the same page. The only thing that I did was validate that everybody was what everybody was truly feeling and was correct. And I really do hope that this guy gets convicted, and I hope that this woman gets her kids back, because this was a very, very unfortunate situation. If any good came out of this reading, it was that her son did tell me he was okay, and I still saw him as a 6-year-old boy, and I was able to validate that he was with a grandfather who had passed from lung cancer, and they were together, and I was able to see a couple other family members on the other side, and her son was outside. He was showing me he was next to a really still body of water, and it was beautiful. There was all kinds of flowers, all kinds of green grass. I mean, the greenest grass you could possibly imagine. There was swans, there was geese, there was ducks swimming around in the water there, and he kept pointing at them and laughing, and he was perfectly fine. And that did bring some peace to the family, that they knew that he was okay, and that he did make it to the other side. So again, I don't like seeing certain things, but it is my duty to tell you what I'm honestly seeing during a reading. But I can honestly say this was the most challenging reading in the last 4 years that I've ever done. And even after the reading, I mean, I just broke down. I just couldn't stop crying. I called my psychic friend, and I told her, that I just had a really challenging reading, and again, didn't tell her the person's name or real name or anything like that. But I just needed somebody to talk to get it off my chest, and it was helpful. But yeah, I just thought I'd share this with you, and yeah, getting ready to go to the Grand Canyon now, but I felt led. I woke up this morning and I just felt like I needed to share this particular story. This actually happened about 2 months ago. So, yeah, crazy stuff. All right, well, I hope you guys have a lovely day and follow your inner voice, follow your dreams. Remember, your first impressions are always right. And I will talk to you guys soon.